We're live at Lancaster House in London for the Global Business Summit, where business leaders and central bankers are meeting. Joining me now is Angel Gurria, the OECD Secretary General. Many thanks for talking with Reuters again.
Thank you.
Let me start with the UK. This is an economy going through its worst recession in what, 100 years. It must be tough to sell business and investment in this climate right now.
Well, they seem to be reacting very positively to the main message. The Prime Minister today was very impressive, and he was absolutely convincing, and he obviously seemed very convinced himself, which is the main element. And I have to say the fundamentals of the economy are improving as we speak. We know that the growth numbers that came out yesterday were somewhat disappointing, but we knew we're going to go through a rough patch. We knew when we embarked on this course. So we say it's important, stay the course.
Okay, stay the course.
Stay the course, because in the end we're getting there, and conditions are being created for the medium and long-term recovery to
So
back.
Our Finance Minister does not need to change tack one little bit as far as you're concerned?
I think there can be reallocations within the budget envelope, but don't say that because we had a couple of bad quarters where we knew this was going to happen. And last but not least, please don't forget, the neighborhood is not getting any better. The context is very weak. You have flat growth in Europe. You have very weak growth in the United States.
Yeah.
The main trading partners are not doing so well, so they're not buying the goods.
All right, you were impressed with David Cameron this morning. You believe what he had to say. What about Mario Draghi, who said just an hour or so ago, the ECB is ready to do whatever it takes to preserve the euro, and we believe that'll be enough. You and I have talked about this before. Is that going to happen?
He said something before that.
What did he say before that?
He said, within the mandate, we will do whatever it takes to preserve the euro, okay? Now, are we happy with the way things are? I don't think we are happy. It's not because of the ECB or Mario, but the ECB is a very powerful tool. We already saw it when it came to funding €1 trillion, and stabilizing the interbank market in Europe and give peace to the region there. It just proved how much muscle, how much power, the bazooka is there.
Yeah.
That's a balance sheet that can be used to bring down those yields and those sovereign debts that are now putting pressure on European performance.
Secretary General, I lose count of the number of times I ask you this question, but let me ask you it again. Given Spain is heading towards 8% after $100 billion for the bank, $65 billion of austerity, are we past the point of no return now?
No, absolutely not. You
How
say
much
after
further can we
$100
go?
billion for the banks, not a penny has changed hands, for heaven's sake. After $65 billion of austerity, it was an announcement. Now, what we have to do is implement, first of all. Second, we have to, once we take a good decision, we should not discuss it to death, and make little bits and pieces and advances, like whatever. The great success of the TARP in the United States was to say, what size is the problem? $500 billion? Okay, these are $750 billion on the table, and you start writing checks right away. Okay, now we understand that cannot be done with 17 democracies, and we know the constraints, etc. But there has to be a better way. The governance has to work better, but also the bazooka, the muscle.
Yeah.
The only one institution today which can face sovereign, then you have the banking capitalization, different story.
Sure.
And then you have the resolution of banks.
But
and
time
you
is
have
running out.
Deposit guarantees.
I mean, we haven't got that much time, have we?
And time is catching up with us because we've waited for so long. Now, we have to learn from lessons. We took so long to deal with Greece. Little problem, little country, 2%, and the contamination just has cost us many times the total debt of Greece. Now, we should avoid it. We should learn the lessons, deal more effectively with this, use the ECB's full power to deal with the problem.
Will we get to the end of this year without a sovereign bailout for Spain and Italy?
I don't think that there is a need for a sovereign bailout of Spain. This is what is very, very bad. We are talking about options which are not necessary, which are expensive, which are inefficient. Muddling through is not possible because you can't pay 7.5% or 8% and continue to do this. It's going to have to stop soon. Second, a full program. Why should we have a full program? In order to ask them to do the things they've already done, and you transfer hundreds of billions of taxpayers' money from Europe in order to pay the banks again, like we did in Greece.
Yeah.
You know, how long is that tenable politically and practically? Last but not least, then maybe the countries are going to ask their creditors to do a restructuring. And when it's not necessary, what you got to do is use the existing institution, the FSF, the SSM, the EIB, but the ECB, the ECB, and use it to the fullest extent of its capabilities in its balance sheet.
And Mario Draghi is ready for that.
Well, he suggested today, he said, whatever it takes within the mandate, which means it is not him, but the shareholders who have to interpret that the needs today are such that the mandate will have to be interpreted in a certain way, or, you know, if need be, take a hard look at the mandate.
Okay. Secretary General, pleasure to see you again. Thank you so much for coming by. Angel Gurria, the Secretary General of the OECD. We're live at Lancaster House in London. Plenty ahead here on Reuters. I'm Axel Threlfall.